Today on our show, we have Irek Kusmierczyk, the MP for Windsor-Tecumseh, a favorite here at Your TV. Irek, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to hear from you, Robert.
Always the first question. How are you and your family doing?
Well, you know what? These are unprecedented times. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of pain in this community, a lot of the stress that we're seeing. A lot of my anxiety is around the fact my wife, Shauna, is a nurse practitioner here locally. And so her and I have had some conversations the last couple weeks about what our healthcare workers might be facing in the next coming weeks, and just to sort of prepare ourselves for what she's going to be facing as a nurse practitioner, both physically, mentally, and emotionally as well. We know that as the Deputy Prime Minister said recently, it's going to get harder before it gets easier, and we know that. We've also, haven't been able to see our parents, obviously, even though that we're in the same city, and so we talk regularly on the phone via Skype. I can tell you that my niece is organizing an Easter Sunday brunch via Skype to pull everyone together from all their different homes and locations. But life has changed, and obviously everyone in the city has been impacted. So, on a day-to-day basis, Robert, from morning till 10, 11 o'clock at night, we're on the phone with local stakeholders, with residents, business owners, the mayors, elected officials, president of the university, the college, the hospital CEOs, to gather as much information as we possibly can, and so that every evening and every day I'm on the phone with cabinet ministers, with the Prime Minister's office, with our caucus, and we're just trying to get whatever we hear on the ground, whatever concerns we hear, we're trying to collect them and get them to Ottawa, so that we can respond to the concerns and the issues that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. So, we're responding as best as we possibly can to these incredibly tough, difficult times.
Yeah, definitely. Tell us about the evolving situation at our border and essential services.
So all of us are concerned right now, obviously, watching what's happening in Detroit and Michigan. Obviously, it's one of the major hot spots now in North America. They recently, over 10,000 cases now in Michigan. About half of those are in Detroit and surrounding Wayne County. So we are all concerned. We're concerned about the health and safety of the roughly 1,400 nurses that cross the border every single day from Windsor and work in Detroit and area hospitals and healthcare centers. We're worried about their health and safety, and we're also worried about the health and safety of our community. So what I can tell you is we organized a call between the 4 area members of parliament, so Brian Massey, Chris Lewis, and David Epp, representing all 3 major parties. And one of the things we focused on was the border. And as a result of that, each of us sent letters, and we collected the letters and sent them directly to the Prime Minister's office, and asking for increased PPEs, or personal protective equipment, for our nurses that are heading over there. So masks and gloves and whatever else they need to make sure that we're looking after and protecting all of our nurses here locally, and also the ones that are crossing the border. We're also asking for additional screening measures at the border so that we can better able to detect if some of our nurses, for example, do have symptoms or do have COVID, and also making available alternate accommodations. So I've heard from a number of nurses who are already looking into purchasing RVs, or looking at purchasing or renting out homes or apartments so that they can self-isolate additionally to what they're doing on a day-to-day basis when they're coming home, because they want to protect their families. And so we want to make sure that alternate accommodations are available for those nurses that and healthcare workers that want to have that additional measure of self-isolation. But one thing that you have to keep in mind, we hear a lot of folks calling for the closure of the border to essential workers and whatnot, but something that you really have to keep in mind, our nurses are incredibly highly trained and dedicated professionals. They know it's in their DNAs. They know how to use PPEs. They know how to self-isolate. They know how to monitor their symptoms. And these are folks who are dedicated professionals. It's in their DNA to protect patients, to protect their families, and to protect their communities. And so that's something that we also have to keep in mind. A lot of nurses that I've talked to have told me, look, Irek, I go to the hospital, I come home from work, I change in my garage, I put Clorox all over my shoes, I take my hospital clothes, put it in the wash immediately, and I go to my basement and I pretty much lock myself away from my family. And so a lot of nurses right now are already practicing, extreme forms of self-isolation in our communities. These are our heroes. These are folks that are really, really putting everything on the line for us. They're protecting us. They're running into the storm to take care of us. And we owe them a tremendous amount of gratitude and support. They're absolute superheroes.
Yeah, no question about that. My wife's a nurse also, so very serious times for them as well. Very quickly, we're getting near the end here. There's a lot of economic response plans that have been put into place federally. Can you tell us about the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy and other supports for business?
Well, absolutely. So one of the things I wanted to mention is the government put forward a suite of programs totaling over $107 billion. This is the largest investment of any government in our entire history of our country in terms of the supports that are being offered during this emergency period. One of the critical supports that we're offering is called the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, which will put $2,000 in the pocket of Canadians each and every month for the next 4 months. And the eligibility criteria are quite relaxed compared to regular EI eligibility. The application opens Monday, April 6th, and literally it's just going to be a few short questions that folks have to answer, and they'll be able to get $2,000 per month. And you're eligible as long as you've lost your job as a result of COVID. If you are self-employed and you have no income as a result of COVID, or if you are sick or quarantined as a result of COVID, or if you're taking care of family members who are sick or quarantined. And it's also available for parents who are taking care of children and dependents, even adult children, for example, that are disabled because they cannot find childcare spaces for them. So all those folks are covered through that plan. We're also increasing Canada Child Benefit, which means folks are going to get an additional $300 per child in May. They're also going to receive, for lower income families, are going to receive a GST credit increase about up to $400 per person to be able to help folks that are sort of lower income and that are having difficulties. And in addition to these personal supports, I should mention we've also put a moratorium on Canada student loans for the students that are struggling to pay back their loans. And we've also introduced a moratorium on tax payments as well too, which again will allow businesses and individuals, provide them with a little bit of breathing room so that they don't have to pay their taxes immediately. So all of those things are about providing our individuals with the supports they need to get through this tough time. Keep in mind, it's just the beginning. The government is prepared to introduce additional measures and especially look after the people that are sort of falling through the cracks from this original Canada Emergency Response Benefit. On the business side, we're providing a 75% wage subsidy to businesses who have experienced a 30% drop in their income. And this is a maximum of $847 per employee per week. And what I can tell you is that you'll be able to apply for this, the wage subsidy through the Canada Revenue Agency website, the My Business account website on the Canada Revenue Agency website, and that should be up and running in the coming weeks. So in total, this government wanted to get as much money out the door as quickly as possible to as many Canadians as possible and as simply as possible to help them get through this initial crisis period. But the government is prepared to do more, and we're always listening to see where we need to provide additional supports.
Great. Well, we're out of time, Irek, but I just want, what is the website, just in case anyone's interested?
So the website that you go to is the CRA website, but you can find that information quite simply if you go on canada.ca and you'll find all the links there for business or for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. You'll also find additional information if you're traveling or whatnot, and that's the best website to actually go to get all of this information.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time, Irek. Really appreciate it, and hopefully you stay well and stay safe.
Thank you, Robert, and hopefully you guys, everyone at YourTV, stay safe as well. Thank you.
Thank you.